fix it.
Is there anything else about? I think we covered
as
most of the sailing stuff.
Yeah, sailing. I mean, we got
the sailing's funny. The only thing, the one little tidbit I would say when you're thinking about how to sail it, that there's a little bit of a conceptual difference, especially if you race. If you race monohulls, you basically put up as much sail area as you can hold, and you just do that. And you get knocked over a few times, you dump the rail into the water, and you're like, well, we can still hold it, it's only happening occasionally. So the one way to think of it is you sail to the average wind, or when you're on a monohull. When you're on a cat, you should sail to the gusts. So you only have your sail up that the gusts can handle, as opposed because you don't want to push it too far. And it's not just because of a risk of flipping over at all, it's because of rig and equipment wear. When there's a big gust on a monohull, the boat heels and it dumps off some of the pressure and it eases the strain. It doesn't get dumped. There's nothing to dump it, so it absorbs all the energy. The rig absorbs all of the energy, your fittings, your wire, your sail. To my mind, most importantly, your sail. It will stretch out, bag out, and destroy sails very quickly if you're not.
Yeah.
If you don't have.
So you don't have any give.
You don't have any give. It just it takes it all and then translates it into motion in the boat, and so there's no release valve like that, and so it'll kill sails pretty quickly if you don't have good high-tech materials or really heavy sails, or sailing conservatively and being knowledgeable about that.
And when we bought the boat, it had pretty new sails. I think they had just bought it in the
less than 2 years old.
Yeah, less than 2 years, and the material was fabulous.
If you looked at them, they look brand new.
It was Dacron. We raised it up and got a little breeze, and it was so blown. They were so blown. So we had to get high-tech sails.
Yeah.
And they've lasted this whole time. I mean, we've almost over halfway around the world, and our sails are still holding up. So it was worth it.
Yeah, well, that's cool to hear, because I mean, from us, like we said, not really knowing anything of. We would think the first reason to reef is not to flip. Like that's the first thing that pops in your head as far as.
But it would be hard to do it. I don't even exactly know what it would take. Some
that's pretty far down the list as far as gear or comfort or wear on the sails and. Yeah.
And coming across to here in Madagascar, so many of the other boats have had problems.
Well,
the gear fail. I mean.
We've broken a lot of stainless shackles on rigging, like the shackles that hold our. We've got a kind of a fairly unique main sheet system, which is probably too in depth for this, but it's got clip-on sheets, and so we can put it in different places for different reasons. And it's not really a catamaran thing; it's just a design thing for this boat. But big, heavy, oversized Harkin shackles that just explode, and we've had 2 or 3 Harkin shackles explode and 2 or 3 Richard shackles explode.
That's not cool.
Yeah. And even not in
heavy conditions. It's like you're doing 15 knots and you hit a puff right at the same time that you come over the top of a wave, and so the form stability of the boat is bringing the whole rig over the top of the wave right while it's getting filled with a puff.
Right when the gust comes in.
The loads are crazy.
The loads are unbelievable.
The loads are insane. That's why you see.
It makes our rigging look like
the rigging is like massive.
Yeah, that's why the rigging
compared to like a 43-foot monohull. It's just monster rigging.
Yeah.
And so we switched them to soft shackles now, so that they don't because the steel just breaks.
The ones that are kind of Velcro.
No. He makes them.
Splice Dyneema, but you do see Velcro to like hold them in place. We don't use that, but they.
But that's way better, huh? I mean, it has the same strength.
More
for millimeter for wire.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very easy to like really increase the strength by just going up a size, and they work pretty slick. I think they just absorb. I don't know, but it's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Stainless versus.
I thought of one more sailing question, more of like a route planning type of question. But like, do you guys, when you're figuring out a route, like you're gonna sail from, let's say, Chagos to Seychelles, it's 1,000 miles. What is the number you use as like your average miles per day that you feel pretty comfortable that you'd make? Like 1,000, do you divide it by any 24-hour numbers?
I usually use about 180 in the trades. About 180 a day.
So ours we use is 150. So that kind of shows you like, you know, it's about on average maybe that much faster. And I think we found our speed for like, we did our average over like 30 some odd thousand miles of sailing. I think it came out to like 6.5 knots or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's like 150 something.
Ours probably wouldn't be too much different if you take into consideration places like Southeast Asia where we had to motor, because we tend to motor really slow.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, yeah. And some days
it's a funny
like 70
point though.
miles.
It's a funny point though. I do think cats tend to motor slower than monohulls, which is something that people might not realize.
I've heard that before.
Because you tend to use one motor to double your fuel range and to reduce engine wear, so you just motor with one motor, and the motors aren't quite as big and the props aren't quite as big. So when we're running two, we would have similar speed and performance to a comparably sized monohull. But because you tend to use one, use half as much fuel, and we just go slower.
Yeah,
but
you only lose a knot or so.
Right.
Yeah, you
2
might
knots at the most.
If you same RPMs, we might run with one motor at 5.5 knots and two motors at 6.5.
And
so you're
does
only
your
getting
helm
a knot for double the
is
fuel.
your helm affected by only running one engine?
Yeah, and we use the dagger boards to
put a dagger board
that.
down in front of that one and raise it
And
up
then
on
we
the
raise
other
the other
side.
side.
And you do have a little
So
bit
basically you
of
have one hole in that outrigger.
Yeah.
Kind of motor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how much fuel do you guys carry?
This boat carries a lot. We carry it's 720 liters. So whatever that is, I think it's about
600 liters would be 170 gallons, approximately, something like that.
So it's 720
I
liters.
know that because we carry 600 liters.
And 720 liters we usually have 4 jerry cans of when we start on a big passage or something. Well, depending on whether or not we think we need a motor. In the trade winds, we don't carry any extra fuel at all because we're in 2 separate tanks. I just don't see the point in it. It's just more weight. But if you're in a place where you like going from Panama to the Galapagos or something where you're like, you know, we could end up doing a lot of motoring. We'll bring enough jerry cans to get it up to 800 liters, and that gives us about a 1,500 mile range we could motor.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sizable.
That's like a really good range.
That's much higher than I think most catamarans are.
So you have a lot. That's quite a bit of fuel, though. 720 liters.
But it was part of the design spec for this. They really wanted it to be a world cruiser. It's not a weekend boat. It's not a charter boat. It's not, you know, they want you to be able to go anywhere. And so, I don't know.
And how much water do you guys carry?
75 in each side?
About 150 gallons, but we don't usually keep them more than about half full, and that's just because of the water maker, which is you have to run the water maker regularly. So why carry
all the weight?
Yeah, sure.
If we're at anchor a lot, and the tide's right, we'll just flip it on and fill it up or whatever. But when we're traveling, we try to keep it at half each on.
Right, because it improves your sailing. Yeah, definitely.
So do you focus a lot on keeping the weight balanced between the 2 holes?
Yeah, we do. It's not that difficult, but every now and then I'll take a circle around the boat with the dinghy, and like if a tank's full on one side and empty on the other side, you can see it. If we've got an extra 200 pounds of food in one side versus the other, there's no way you can see a difference. I think it's just a small enough percentage versus the boat weight that it doesn't matter. So we tend to keep, for example, all of our food stores in one side and all of our tools in the other side. And tools are probably heavier, but I can't see a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, but I don't know. Once you add up things like liquids, like milk and
beer and wine and rum and all that stuff.
Honestly, if you're a catamaran sailor, though, you shouldn't drink beer because it weighs more.
Rum. You want to pack your punch, right?
Even better, you just get a still with all Yeah.
And there's usually like one port tank, one starboard tank for like fuel and water. Is that?
Yeah. Well, redundancy is great.
It is.
That is one nice thing about a cat is redundancy.
Okay, so you guys have
2 engines,
2 rudders, you have 2 engines, you have 2 alternators, you have
absolutely
2 different tanks on either side.
And we've lost a rudder. Many times we've lost an engine one side, and we still can
not losing it in a major respect, but you've got an impeller that goes, and you're trying to get in. It always happens when you're trying to get into a harbor or something.
Yeah, and so you don't need to stop right then and replace the impeller. You have time to
deal with it later. And, which is a convenient thing to do.
And how big are your engines?
40 horse.
40 horse. Okay. And do you see any drawbacks to 2? of everything?
Yeah,
I mean,
costs.
double the maintenance.
Double maintenance.
You know, you need 2 fuel filters. You know,
Yeah.
you need 2
More fuel filters, more oil filters,
more
more
spares.
spares.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the spares are funny though. That was part of the reason we were able to get rid of a lot of the weight from when we started. Is I was maybe a bit obsessive about it, and I had a spare
the
for.
owner before us had tons.
Just
spares
backups
too.
or backups or backups.
But I went through the list and figured out everything that I thought you might ever need to replace on the motor. You know, injectors, starter, water pumps, fuel pumps, oil. I guess I didn't really do the oil pump, but you know, exhaust elbows, belts, hoses, and I think I had more of those than I needed because the truth of it is you can get spares almost anywhere in the world. So now I have more of the critical things. And if you lose one engine, we can get into port with the other engine, so it's not quite as critical that I have them. And so we don't have to carry as many.
So the pluses are higher than the minuses for sure. I mean, the maintenance and the cost of that is a downfall, but you have redundancy and everything for times.
But I guess
like that.
in general, catamarans are more expensive than monohulls, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think that might be true today. I don't know how to really say, though, you know, per square foot or per...
But there's a lot of charters
Yeah, it's
out there
hard.
now.
It's hard to
But
compare,
there was,
right?
I did notice when I first started looking at them in the 90s, you could oftentimes get one that I think was probably a bigger catamaran than a comparable monohull for less.
Well,
And I think there was just a really big demand shift in the early 2000s, so a lot of those numbers are probably just popularity now because they are pretty expensive now.
I mean, like we were saying, because Morning Glory is a bit shorter, but you have bigger beam. I mean, it could be very well compared to Delos as far as living space and, you know, a massive...
I mean, yeah, this is a massive salon. It's like super comfortable, big table area, nice windows, and...
But monohulls are nice too because they have that extra side seat, where catamarans usually just have a...
wrap around.
Yeah, it's a funny
this-
thing. I don't know why.
So, you know, it's not always... One's not always better than the other.
Why does it have to be like that?
Yeah.
Well,
like-
you know,
And
there's
then
actually,
you've got galley up versus galley down.
Yeah.
You know, some catamarans are
Yeah.
I actually think one of
Up and down?
the things, well, that'll be changing shortly, but one of the nice things about a monohull is if you have something in your mind about what you want, you can probably find it already having been designed and built. It just might take you some time. A particular layout, a particular rig, materials that it's built out of, they've all been built and done. You can find it. You can find, you know, if you want a giant aft cabin and 2 small ones up front, you can find that. If you want 2 aft cabins and a giant one up front, you can find that. You can find it. There just haven't been as many catamarans built, and so I think they've gotten to the point where they're safe and seaworthy and comfortable and fun and that sort of thing. That's down, but I don't think they've developed as much variety in terms of layout possibilities. I think there's a lot of room to...
Because it's like salon, porthole,
Yeah,
starboard
always.
hole.
Yeah.
I think there's just room for them to explore it and develop that. But just
Well, maybe we should...
20, 30 more years
But-
of building like
yeah.
there's already been with monohulls.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
there'll be a lot more options.
But I think one of the big pluses is the big cockpit.
Yeah,
The cockpit is
super
nice.
big cockpit.
And it's always the party boat. You know?
Yeah.
Everyone comes to the boat, you know, that has all the seating.
Yeah.
And the openness, too, of the way that
openness
the
is really
salon
important.
flows out with the big doors and you don't have to walk. I think it's a bonus not to have to walk
Yeah.
down,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
I mean, maybe
Absolutely,
a little less
'cause then you can just
exercise
go
is the
straight in.
downfall.
A little bit lazy, but...
But it's also fun
I always
because
try and avoid taking an extra step if I can.
Yeah, that's right.
but with the teenagers and everything on board, you know, we would have parties and all the kids would go up to the bow. And we could still, you know, if we'd have dinner here, the kids could be on the bow and, I mean, how many people have we fit? You know,
Yeah.
20...
A lot.
Yeah. Well, we went on trips with 20-something people, and
I think
you know,
that
we
that's
could probably
the
have
one
30
thing...
people on board and still be all right.
So you
And
say,
the kids could either be in here or they could be on the bow, and they can be...
Yeah.
So
It's quite
it's
specific
nice.
to Delos when I say this, but I feel like you have so much open space, especially when you're sailing. Like Delos is it's great for a lot of things. The cockpit's sunken down, it's low, it's well protected, but you don't have much visibility. You can't just stand outside and drive like you can here. And
Oh, I love the
And,
helm.
you know, you can get out of the sun easily with autopilot, or you can go out. Yeah, the helm. I mean, you
Oh,
can
I
see
love
everything
at night.
all the way around.
I sit out there and you can see the stars and the sail, and you can
That's
see
hard
everything.
for us because we, have to take. It's just laziness.
She
I
sits
guess.
outside. I sit.
And he
inside.
sits inside. He sits in-
I sit
Yeah, you
right
sit
in
right
that
there.
chair.
Right in that
That's my
chair.
passage
And
But
then
you have
that
good
other-
visibility, so
yeah,
that's
because
cool.
we'll
If
take
I take the
the
sunscreens off,
take the
sometimes I don't
sunscreens
see
off.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
It was just dark
but we've got
outside.
the radar, you know.
oh, you mean it's not night in here?
But we have radar too here out in here, so.
So
you can see
what
them
are
around.
some other cool things that you think are good about cats at anchor? Like nice open
at anchor.
salon, big cockpit. Like you guys don't get the death rolls. Like if there's the right swell in Delos, will be
Well,
like a
Downwind.
pendulum,
Yeah.
right?
Basically rail to rail.
Downwind sailing is what's really
Yeah,
good.
I really noticed that you asked at anchor, but when she's answering
Yeah,
about
no,
sailing.
ask it.
But if you are going downwind sailing, we don't have roll at all, and so
Yeah.
downwind is really nice. And
Our Pacific crossing was just a sleigh ride. It was wonderful, and then we've heard other people
Oh yeah, good
who
idea. I
have.
forgot about the run.
but
Can't forget
It's
about.
funny.
Oh, sorry.
we're asking about things we liked about it.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
anchor.
So okay,
Yeah, the next topic is
you've
basically.
owned a monohull. You've now owned
Well,
lovely
we
catamaran.
can tell you why we chose a catamaran.
Okay,
too.
that would be cool. And then if it's true or not.
Well,
That's true.
yeah,
we were in the
Huh?
what windward at which
we
island
Oh,
were they?
yeah.
we were in we had chartered out of St. Martin, and we were on a just a chartered monohull, like 42 feet. I don't even remember which one
Yeah,
it was.
very
but-
light. you know.
And we were in St. Eustatius, and we were sitting there in this just big, in the lee of the island, right? But the big Atlantic swell was wrapping around, and I got dumped out of my bunk twice in that night onto the floor. We were rolling so badly, and I come out and I'm sitting there looking, and I'm watching these other boats that are just going up and down rather than side to side.
Yeah.
And then we went hiking that day, and we're looking out, and we're watching
from top
our
of the
mast go.
Volcano.
And that's what really got us interested in it, because the
Beside
truth
us.
is you spend an awful lot of time.
Well, beside us was a catamaran.
Yeah.
And they were hiking up the volcano too, and we talked to them, and we had noticed how we were going and how the cat was just going like that, and so we
Yeah.
started talking to them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's
Everything's out.
great at anchor, and the swell is fabulous, and that just got us started just thinking. We never started thinking before that, and
I'd looked at them just because I always looked at all boats all the time. That's just what I did.
Yeah.
But we hadn't thought about it seriously as a choice for cruising. I think in the end, though, I think that anchor roll stuff has come into play a few times, but not enough, because I think when you're out cruising, you're more concerned about where you're going to anchor and protect your home than you are when
Yeah.
you're chartering. So you go into anchorages and you're chartering where you're flopping around because there's something pretty.
And you only have
there.
a week or 10 days to
Yes,
see what you need to
exactly.
see.
Exactly.
The reality of that extreme between the two wasn't quite like it was
Yeah.
that day on the charter.
Yeah.
But it is what got us thinking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate the rolls. I hate the rolls.
I know, it's like Brian's worst.
My worst thing in the,
The
world.
fucking boat's rolling again.
Yeah.
Another roll of anchor is like I was just like we're out. Like
On our-
I can't take it.
Yeah.
on our trip to down when we first left, we were in Rum Key and all these places in the Bahamas, and we're trying to work our way over, and the roll was just horrendous, with that time of the year.
Yeah.
And there's ways to also, try to point your bow into the.
Yeah.
and
We still
I'm
have
sure
to
you
do
guys
some of that.
too.
I mean, it depends
We're
a lot
too
on the
lazy for
period.
that. We'll just move anchorage.
Yeah.
Sit in the
Yeah.
stern neck.
Well, things are- yeah.
Some of those places were no alternative.
Oh, there was
Yeah,
no
sure.
alternative.
No problem.
No,
But
yeah.
The we still have motion.
And you
like
can feel
you
our
do,
motion
but
now.
it's different. But
Yeah, it's not the death rolls, as we call
yeah, when
them.
you get a bigger long period swell, monohulls seem to just go
Yeah.
berserk,
Yeah.
and we don't notice that. What we notice is the shorter, choppy waves from the side.
Which doesn't do anything to us.
Yeah.
We're just
like the last
so
couple
heavy.
days
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
get the
Yes.
little chop from the
Ours
side
has
here,
been quite
yeah, we
fun.
bounce and that you don't.
Yeah.
How about when it's windy? Do you guys
Sail a lot?
sail back and forth or swing?
No,
Any difference?
we don't sail on the anchor at all because it's set up with a bridle. So
bridle.
when we hook a clip to the chain with a bridle that goes to each hull, and so it corrects itself too quickly. So we never sail back and forth on anchor.
So there's really no difference as far as swing room with anchoring or anything for you guys.
We do swing differently.
We swing less is the issue sometimes. I think actually monohulls should need a little bit more room around them than we do. You could probably stay closer to us more quickly. Unless you're in a wind, if you're in a situation where you have current and tide that's different than the wind,
Yeah, right.
then we'll swing entirely differently.
And it
less
also makes a
underwater.
difference if our dagger boards
Because
are
we're
up or
more,
down, too.
we've got more boat above the water and less below. So
Less-
if there's
yeah.
we'll sit to the wind where a monohull might sit to the current.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
more windage. Yeah.
So it's just you just have to be.
But there's a huge difference in monohulls between the full
Yeah.
keel and
Yeah, of course.
thin keel and
Yeah.
The couple things that I really like that are just basic living practicalities though, which would probably keep me, I love sailing monohulls. I like the way they sail, but for living on it that I like is we have lots of room for solar panels that are really easy.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
that
yeah.
don't interfere with well, they don't interfere with two things. One, they don't interfere with using your space because you can put them up on the bimini or whatever. But they also don't interfere with the aesthetics because they can be hidden in places like that. So you'll see monohulls with giant arches that are like you have this beautifully designed boat and you have this thing that's just
Big
stuck
whale tail. That's
on top of it, that doesn't belong really. And so you can hide it in that without interfering with it. You've got davits that are similarly hidden and built in. Davits are wonderful. It's nice to be able to bring
I'm
your
real
dinghy up
jealous
all
of
the
your
time.
guys' davits. I
Yeah.
love your davits.
even
It's
that
very
week I
hard
was
to
off, I brought the
design
dinghy
an
every night.
easy spot to put and keep a dinghy on a monohull. And so it's usually just as, again, an appendage that gets stuck on afterwards. But anybody who cruises, and I'm sure you feel the same way, you got to have a dinghy, and you got to have a nice dinghy, and you got to have something.
yeah, it's just as
your car.
important as
It's
anything
your
else.
car, and it's your primary toy, too. It's how you get to do all the fun things,
Yeah,
I mean, the
of course.
sailing's great, but all the little sights you see, dinghy tours up and down rivers.
You can't be
and
rowing
Yeah,
it.
put your-
mangroves
yeah.
and into
Put your
town.
dive gear in the dinghy.
Tell that to some of the dudes around here,
Well,
or around the world that
Yeah,
we've
we really
seen,
can't
you know.
talk about motors around here, can we?
Yeah.
It's like they're all
many.
doing it without. But
do you guys have a generator or no?
A little Honda.
we just have a little Honda, but
But mostly you're just living off solar and...
We actually use the generator more sailing because the sail will shade the solar panels.
at anchor.
And then we
it's not
also,
very often.
overnight we'll run the radar and all the gear, and so we need.
We've been in Madagascar for a month and a half now, and we've used a generator once, and that was the day before yesterday.
Yeah, because we kind of forgot to turn our
Great.
solar panels back on because we were listening to the SSB and we.
And it looks like things are on, your computer's on, plugged in,
We've
or
always
Yeah,
got
why is
computers
that on?
going, refrigerator, freezer, computers.
You're still at 13.1.
Yeah.
Volts only using 2 amps, so
That's not too bad.
it's not so bad. Or is that the inverter?
That's the
Yeah,
inverter.
that's
Oh,
okay.
so okay.
That's the volts, right? But just the
Yeah,
inverter
so you're
amp.
using more amps. I see.
But yeah, this big.
Yeah, you could close
we've
that.
got almost a kilowatt of solar on
want me to
here.
close
Arthur,
this?
is it?
Are you-
You want him to close it?
Oh,
or
it doesn't
not?
matter. You can close it.
It's
Yeah,
quite
it's in
nice
the way. Just
computer.
close
I
it.
Hey,
look,
it's a brand-
I'm very,
brand new
I look very
computer.
professional here. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Brand new one.
I have my run and
Thanks
my
to-
computer and my
don't
clickers.
spill it on the computer, bro.
I
Thanks to
hadn't thought
Steven,
about
who
that. It's something I would
It's a
do.
sourced
new
the
video
computers.
editing station.
Mhm.
It's right there.
So as
But like
far
I do
as
have a computer
You don't
set
like
that
like for
sources
example, like
computers.
the built-in spot to put the boards on the back there. See, like this.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah,
the board
yeah.
rack built into the davits and into the solar
Yeah.
panels.
Very cool.
It's kind of some slick stuff you can do that's hard
And
to do.
how about living space? So you have 2 holes, so you guys do like kids in one, adults in the other?
Absolutely.
Never the 2 shall
Yeah,
cross or what?
absolutely, and we've got a nice big shower and
a head on each
a
side.
head on each side, and then our side, since it doesn't have the second cabin, we have a nice big bathroom with a nice shower and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Stuff like that.
So yeah, privacy.
So
is,
you could,
is
so you
quite
have like
a good
built-in
thing.
privacy.
Yeah, you have
We-
built-in
we
We
privacy.
have
Not
Brady
as
in the bow,
private.
Yeah,
and us in the stern, and
It's
we can
pretty
kind
good.
of meet in the middle. It's
yeah.
not so bad.
That's all right.
Yeah, except when you have a lot of extra crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
That's a different
privacy.
story there.
Yeah.
Well, if you get to a 50-foot boat versus a
43.
low 40s catamaran,
Yeah, you've got.
it's
some
pretty
nice space.
comparable. You probably actually have more seating in your salon than we do, but not much.
I
A little
think
bit.
the
It's just
thing
different,
that
I
might be
guess.
different is storage capacity.
You have more.
Yeah, I mean, well,
we
that's
have
I don't know.
silly
Is that
amounts
just?
of
But is that
storage.
Yeah,
just?
you have way
is
more
that
storage
just
than
the
we have.
MLs or is
Like
that,
we're still drinking Coke from Thailand.
No, that's a
know,
monohulls
'cause
have.
we
We
lots
have
of
silly
yeah.
amounts, but we can't use it because of the weight. Because it makes
Yeah.
such a big difference. Like, because
Yeah.
under each bed, there's just cavernous space that we could put,
So they're just empty.
20
empty
cases
space?
of beer on each side. It just would be. There's plenty
You
of room
fill it
for
up,
it, but
yeah.
the weight would be a really
But we
bad
have-
idea.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not as accessible.
Yeah.
Like all the cabinets and stuff up here is. It's
But you have
it's
enough.
boat size. It's
Yes,
not.
we
So
have
you're a family of
small.
4,
Yes,
and how old are your kids?
14 and 16.
So they eat like adults or
Yes,
more
absolutely.
something. And if you've
growing.
have
they
you
have
ever
more
felt
junk
like you
than-
needed more storage? You've had plenty, no problem. And so I think
Yeah, so storage.
I
space
do
is
think like from I've heard that before, like to get the same living space in a low 40s catamaran, you kind of need to be in like a 50 something foot,
I think your guys'
Yeah.
boat is
Monohull.
really
right?
nice direct comparison.
Yeah.
It's like it's
And they're all sailboats. I mean, those people who are have their noses turned up like catamarans are just
or
silly.
the other way around.
Or other way around.
Yeah.
Sailboats are sailboats. We all sail. It,
Except when we're motoring.
yeah, except for
Like you said,
Which we all
apples and
do.
oranges,
Yeah.
Which we all do, exactly.
we have more things to, we have different things to tweak, with the dagger boards and, but it's great. When we have a downwind sail and we've got the jib to one side and the screecher to the other, we're flying,
Yeah.
it's great. And catamarans are sailboats.
Yeah.
What's the fastest you guys have ever got?
A little over 17 knots.
Pretty fast. What kind of conditions was that like?
Oh, it was like 25, 28 knots of wind. It was between Koh Phayan and the Surans in Thailand. And it was just, there was just this right shape of wave behind us. And we just kept surfing after surfing after surfing.
Oh.
And we
it was
had
just-
more sail up than we normally would because
the
it
water
just
is so
stuff.
flat. A lot of times it's the motion we mentioned. And so when the water's flat, you can push it and put up more sail because it's not a flipping issue. It's a motion issue.
Yeah.
And so you don't have anything that's going to put extra stress on it, and the stress is smooth and even. So you just put up more sail, and more sail is more speed.
Let's say you guys have like 20 knots and you're working downwind. What kind of speeds are you seeing? Which 20 knots, I guess that would be like,
that's good.
let's say 15
20
knots
we
a pennant or something
20
like
we
that.
start thinking about reefing.
Well, if it's 20 downwind with 15, yeah, I mean, I guess
Or whatever.
we're probably, if it's dead downwind, we're probably doing somewhere between 6 and 7. something
Okay.
like that.
Probably more than that.
Not dead downwind.
That's what we do really well. We'd probably be in the 7s and 8s.
But
Then,
that also isn't monohull broad spectrum. It's kind of just
Yeah.
specific to,
I think
to
we'd
our
be going
design.
faster,
Well,
20 knots.
If
20
we,
knots with the screecher and the jib out.
if or if we had the spinnaker out, we would be doing more too. But
So
we
you
don't tend
pull
to do
both
that.
boards up and
do you guys ever sail dead
Probably
down?
more
or
about,
do
it's
you-
more
you
about how
always
we
sail
sail
kind
than it is
Oh,
about
usually-
what
Off
boat
the
can
wind.
do.
Yeah, dead down all the time. Yeah.
yeah, it must be much.
Because then we'll
She's
take the-
fastest about 140. Like
Yeah.
140, she just screams.
Yeah.
But
'Cause I guess
um,
that's another point. Because of your beam, you don't really need a whisker pole as much, right?
No.
Because you already
Although
have
we
your
wish we did
your
have
tack
one.
so far.
For light wind.
Only for dead downwind when it's light. But
With the
Yeah.
light winds, we'd like to have the whisker pole.
Yeah.
But we do have that wide.
Yeah.
I could
we
see
can
that as
attach.
being a real benefit because when the wind slacks off and there's still big swells, then we have to put our pole out because otherwise the boat's
It's-
going like this and
yeah,
it's just like there's not
slaps
enough
around,
wind to hold
yeah.
the sail out, so it's like filling and then it gets empty on the next swing and then it fills
Yeah,
again.
we don't have that downwind swing like you do.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
what
cool.
really is a plus with the cat.
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny that you can. It's funny that when you categorize some of your questions as the cruising questions versus sailing questions, because that's the
different.
peculiarity of cruising too. Because like how fast you go, it just depends on how you want to sail the boat too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
So you're
Like our
not out
trip-
there sailing
yeah.
for speed.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's,
our trip to the
there'll be-
Seychelles- from
there'll
the
be
Seychelles
times
to
like
here.
on a trip like that where you might just unfurl the jib, not even raise the main, and just press the autopilot and flick on a movie or something like that. You know what I mean? As opposed to getting out. And we have a big spinnaker too that we very rarely fly, and if we put the spinnaker out in those conditions, we'd probably be doing 8 to 9 knots, but we just don't do it. It's more of a cruising choice than a
Yeah, for
boat
Yeah.
performance
Yeah.
issue. You know. So.
And on
Yeah,
our trip
that's a good
from the
point.
Seychelles to here, being into the wind, we purposefully tried to keep it under 8 knots. We could have gone much faster, but then it starts becoming uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
when you've got
Yeah.
when you're
and it's hard on
beating
the gear.
into 3-meter swells,
Yeah.
It's hard on the gear.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you slow it down a little
Slow
bit,
down, be
and
comfortable.
it just then you go up and over them rather than just bashing, and it's that kind of those are the choices that are hard to appreciate when you're at the dock before you've set out on one or the other.
Yeah, because all you really know is weekend cruising or whatever it is, and you want to get from point A to point B as fast as you can, not as comfortably as you can, because you know it's over in 2 days, not 2 years.
This is probably
and the gear, and
hours.
to be able to replace it. Coming here to Madagascar with all these people who have lost their forestays and their sails and all these things, it's kind of hard to replace here.
Yeah.
And you have to wait till South
It'll put a
Africa.
big,
so we sail to not break gear, and we sail not to
It's your house.
break
It's
dishes.
Yeah,
your
it's a house. Absolutely.
It's not a hotel room, it's your house.
Well, and one of the things that we've liked about this boat is we've been able to do that while still, we like some speed. We like to get there. Passages are great, but we also like them to end and get where we're going. And so, just maintain a nice, steady, good speed and without breaking anything or hurting anything, and giving yourself some options route-wise with where you're going to go. I think that for us, the biggest thing that we learned about cruising versus all the research we did before is how there's not really very much a right answer to a lot of any of these questions. It's more about figuring out what you like and what you're comfortable with, because you can ask any of the 6 boats that are right next to us right now that all just came from the Seychelles, and they took different routes, they had different speeds,
different
and they
experiences,
and they had different equipment, and the boats are all entirely different, and they're all still right here.
Yeah, I agree. That's why we're talking to quite a few people, and just to see so different.
I have one last. Like I said, I
Only
think we
one?
covered all of our questions,
Really?
and then we can just talk about whatever. But if you were to ever sell this boat, what would you think about as your next? What would you consider? What would your next?
Oh, I know there's 2 on your mind.
Yeah, he thinks about this all the time.
90-foot trimaran.
90-foot trimaran. Wow.
Boom! Way out of left field.
Damn.
No, it's not out of left field. It's like the natural progression. 26-foot monohull.
Yeah.
40-foot catamaran. 90-foot trimaran.
Yeah. What's next?
I like it.
It's the natural progression, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Bifactorials.
So why? What is the?
Well, we've had 1 hull and we've had 2 hulls.
Might as well go 3.
Might as well go.
Might as well have another kid while you're at it too.
No.
1 for each hull. Huh?
Do you guys have any wise parting words?
Partying words?
Party
Party
words?
Get a catamaran. No.
Yeah, because the catamaran's the party boat.
Right.
It is funny though. The trimaran's actually not a joke. That's actually I've actually been thinking about it and planning it and drawing it and researching
Dreaming.
it. And there is a reason for it. And for me, it's I have an eye problem, an eye movement problem that started giving me seasickness because my eyes don't move quick enough to absorb my surroundings. So I get seasick. And trimarans arguably have some of the benefits of a monohull and a catamaran, because you have the form stability, so you don't heel as much, but they're much narrower and much finer at the bow and at the stern, both, so that they absorb stern waves and bow waves really well. And so there have been many sailors that have said that the most sea-kindly boats they've ever been on are trimarans, and that's one reason I mentioned a trimaran. And you don't have to go to 90 feet like I was suggesting, but if you go a little bit bigger and longer, you can have the same interior volumes, and you can have a little bit of flared out hull that gives you the deck space, because I wouldn't want to give up the deck space that we have on this. And
could you put anything in the outer holes?
A little bit,
would you do living space or just
no?
storage?
Well, there are big trimarans that do that.
There's a trimaran here that the cockpit.
Red one.
Yeah, no. There's that one, and then there's the other one that looks like a catamaran but has a center hole, and the cockpit living space goes all the way to out to the third hole.
Absolutely, they refer to them as open bridge deck or closed bridge deck ones. The closed bridge deck ones have living space all across the bridge to the outer awnings.
But we wouldn't probably want that.
That's not what I want, but those are out there, and they're huge.
The space you'd have with that on 90 foot.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm thinking.
No.
I'm thinking
you want a rocket ship, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I want to do 25 knots everywhere.
20 to 30
Sounds
knots.
fun. You have to
probably have to live in the Philippines for about 4 years to get it built. I don't know.
That can be fun.
So forget everything. Get a trimaran. Forget everything we're talking about.
Now that we told you all the benefits of that, we're telling you why we're
Get a
throwing it away. Is that the truth?
New frontiers.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap, I think.
Well, thanks, guys.
Sure.
I learned a lot. So, but I didn't really know anything to begin with. So.
Yeah, we're pretty stupid when it comes to things. So.
But yeah, thanks for your time.
Sure.
And I appreciate it.
Glad to.
Now we can enjoy more rum.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah. We maybe should get the snacks up.
No, I think that's...
Is that mine?
What does it taste like, me?
Ew.
Wait, what? Alright, let's start this interview.
What kind of a boat is this?
No.
Best things about two halls in.
Carpet.
How does that look, Brady?
Is
Real
this-
good.
There,
So
see,
take a
that's
shot.
better.
It's all red.
All right, let her rip.